I stabbed my husband 37 times in the chest and cooked his meat for my children to eat. I am Katherine Knight. On October 24, 1955, I was born in Australia. My father was an abusive alcoholic who abused my mother. Several members of my family abused me until I was 11 years old. I never learned to read or write, and at the age of 16, I started working at an animal slaughterhouse, extracting organs from animals. It was my dream job. I even hung my first set of butcher knives above my bed. In 1974, I married David Kelliff, an abusive alcoholic. We had a tumultuous marriage for 10 years until I discovered he was having an affair. I tried to kill my 2-month-old daughter by throwing her onto the train tracks. Unfortunately, the train never arrived. After David left me, I met David Saunders. He moved in with me and my 2 daughters, and everything was fine until, after a fight, I slit the throat of his puppy. Nevertheless, he forgave me, and we even had a daughter together, but he distanced himself from me when I attempted to kill him with a pair of scissors. Then I met John Killingworth, with whom I had my first son, and we were together for 3 years. But he left me when he found out I was having an affair with John Price, a charming man I had recently met. In 1995, I moved in with John Price and his 2 older sons, who loved me. He worked as a miner and earned enough money, but when I asked him to marry me and he refused, I couldn't handle it. I accused him of stealing from his company and got him fired. He lost the job he had held for 17 years. He kicked me out of the house, but we still continued to see each other. During an argument, I tried to stab him in the chest. After that, he obtained a restraining order against me to protect his children. On February 29, 2000, John would send his sons to sleep at a friend's house, so he would be home alone. I took advantage of that moment to execute my plan. That night, while I was sleeping, I entered his house, took a butcher knife, and stabbed him 37 times. He tried to escape, but quickly failed. He would die from bleeding out. I dragged his body, cut off his head, and I hung pieces of his meat on a meat hook in the living room. His children would return soon, so I decided to prepare them a delicious dish. If you've made it this far, I suppose you want to know the recipe. Take note. The tender meat of John was served bathed in gravy sauce alongside a garnish of potatoes, pumpkin, cabbage, and zucchini. You need to peel and chop these last ingredients into pieces. Boil them in water over medium heat for 5 minutes, stirring frequently. You can add garlic, salt, and seasonings to taste. Then add half a liter of hot vegetable broth, let it simmer for another 25 minutes, stirring occasionally. The garnish will be ready, and the meat only requires salt to taste. That way, we served dishes for John's children with their father's meat. I would add notes with the names of the children on each plate, as if it were a fancy restaurant. John was very friendly with his neighbors, who, upon seeing his vehicle, decided to visit him. But receiving no response, they alerted the police. The police arrived before the children could taste the meal I prepared. What a waste. I became the first woman in Australian history to receive a life sentence without parole. You are lucky you have never met me. Follow me for more recipes.